Here we are in the Chapter 11 palette file, and we're going to talk about this tool over here. This is the MixerBrush. Now the MixerBrush lives with the brush tool, so if you don't have it set up, just click on brush tool and go down here to MixerBrush. And we're first going to start off by moving over here, and I'm going to zoom in. I don't really have to zoom in, but I can. And I'm going to sample from here. And interestingly enough, it was able to pick up that color. By the way, I've also got my color here set up to load solid colors only, rather than sample from kind of a picture. And notice that I did not have to, oh, you know what? I am on the same layer. I thought I was not on the same layer. Okay. Anyway, so we'll start off with the brush, the first one here, just to see what happens. And you'll see that just that little brush stroke that I did there just put a little bit of color there. The MixerBrush is very much about doing more subtle color and building up of color and blending things together here. So we can continuously work on this and build up some blue. I can even I'm using my Wacom tablet here, and the more pressure I put on, obviously the more this works together. Okay. Nifty. Let's try a different kind of brush. I'm going to zoom out. And let's see. Do we need to sample a new color? Yes. We're going to change our, by the way, I'm going to hit F5 here. F5 takes us to the brush tool, or the brush palette panel, and we'll do a fan brush. And let's see, that's the right setting there. And we're going to change this up here to dry. Now for this, F5 again, I'm going to sample this yellow. And you'll see that we've got a brush here that's kind of bushy, and it lays down color a little bit differently. And you'll notice, if I go click happy here, you get different densities, again, based on how much pressure you put on here. Let's get a good look at this. So now you can see the bristles on here. That's kind of cool. It adds some nice texture. Very fun. Go back here, and we can change the number of bristles. So currently at 66%, we can crank this down to about 40. Now, I'm not able to get exactly 40, but pretty close. F5, and let's see what this looks like. And you'll notice that the bristles are a little bit less dense. You can actually see them a little bit more separated than we had before. That's also fun. Let's see what else. Let's try a different brush. Let's go back to F5 and try, is it this one? Let's see what this looks like, flat point. So it's kind of directional. It changes the look of the brush. It's like you were using a paintbrush. It's very much like a marker in this case. Let's also try something else here. Let's change this to, is it just wet? Yes, very wet actually. I'm going to go back down over here. And very wet is actually going to mix with the background white here. And it blends these colors a lot more blurry than with the plain old dry brush. Now you can still see some highlights going on over there between the different values of yellow, but this gets a much more painterly feel compared to the traditional brush that we use in Photoshop. Right now it's looking a little bit like a marker, which is also fun, but still you can get a lot more textures using this MixerBrush, and it's pretty nifty. This is actually, I think, gosh, did it start in CS6? I don't think it started in CS5. I could be wrong, but it's a fairly recent development. Let's go take a look at some more brushes here. What I'm looking for is called an erodible brush, and I don't know exactly where they put this. Let's see. let's see, that's a round. Let's go flat, 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 fat, flat, erodible. Let's do square. Okay. And for this one, let's go down here to the green area, and we'll sample some green. Let's see here, sample erodible 9-point brush. So this is going to be a small brush. Let's just put this at 9. And let's see, we're going to change this brush to 100% softness. Actually, the same thing there. Okay, and let's see what happens here. So you can see this actually kind of has kind of a density thing going in there. I pretty much kept constant pressure on this. Now maybe a little bit weird at first, but then it gets kind of evened out. Let me turn off the mask here so you can see the better color. And what should be happening is that this mark that I was making should get kind of flatter and weaker. Okay, it's like as if you took a pencil and just kept using this pencil over and over again. At first it's sharp, and then it gets kind of flat and it spreads out the value. Well, we've actually got a thing here. We can actually sharpen this tip again. So if I go back over here, oops, and then click over there and do some of the angles like that, you can see that it's got a much sharper feel to it. Almost feels kind of 3D there, doesn't it? Kind of nifty. You know what? Let's do a little bit of erasing here, just because I'm down over here, and it's just convenient to do so. Okay, and let's go back to the brush tool, and we can change the shape. So right now we were using a square. We could change this to a triangle, and you'll notice that the cursor even changes. We're pretty close up, so I don't even need to do the mask. But it does a similar kind of a thing with the highlight. Let's go back and undo that and sharpen that. There we go. And it still has kind of a feel to it, but different from the square. So the MixerBrush is pretty neat in that you can do different shapes and get different textures and values of color. Look at this. This is kind of fun. It just isn't the flat color you get from doing the regular circular brush. Very neat. Let's see if I covered everything here. Yeah, pretty much. Okay, let's take a break and come back to the circles. Okay, we are ready to move and do some paint mixing over here in these little circles on the palette. So let's first of all move to the paint mix so we can paint on a separate layer. And we're going to go to the brush tool, and I'm going to choose a different brush this time. I want something that's on the blunt side. Let's see what we've got here. Let's see, round point, round blunt, good enough. Cool. And let's see, we're going to change the situation here to, I believe it's wet. Yep. Okay. And I will close up the brush here. And I'm going to sample this red. And good, we're up here. It's fantastic. And do a little painting in here. Oh, there it is. And in fact, I want to make it look a little sloppy here just because palettes are never neat. Okay, let's go sample some blue now. And I want to put a little on top of this. Okay. And this should mix in and make a nice kind of purple. If you'd like to go a little closer, I think we can move it a little closer. There we go. Nicely done. Miss Mac would kill me for calling it purple, so I'll call it very violet. Nice. Okay, we're actually going to sample right here. We're going to take some of this violet, and we can take it and put it over here now. So you can do all your mixing someplace and then sample it and go, hey, that looks great, and I can use it someplace else. Again, let's get a little sloppy. Why not? Cool. And let's move on and do some, let's see, where is this? In the third circle, we're going to get some blue. We'll move this up here. And we'll go get some blue. As you can tell, I'm using my Wacom. It's a little bit hard to move across the screen sometimes. And we'll put a little blue action over here. All right. And then put a little yellow in here. So we'll start by, oh, grab some blue there, didn't it? And let's see if we can mix it together. Actually, I'm going to clean my brush here. Clean brush. And not load any more color. I'm going to see if I can take what's existing here and mix this together into some sort of green. And my son actually, he test drove this chapter for me a little while ago, and he said, this looks like puke green. He said this looks like the color of a yolk that's a hard-boiled egg. And it's right, it's not exactly the prettiest green going. But it is green. It is a mix of blue and yellow. That's pretty cool. Now in the, we're going to go back to, we're using yellow, right? Yep. Let's put something in here. We'll put some, oh, we gotta load it up here. So we'll just do it that way. And we'll put some yellow on this side. And sample some red. Paint that in there. Nice. And go clean the brush. And do a little mix. And we get kind of a nice orange out of that. Can't complain about that one at all. Turn the mask off. You can see that orange a lot better now. See if we can push some yellow in here some more too. Brighten it up a little bit more. I really like this MixerBrush. I mean, it's such a vacation from the typical flat color you get with a normal brush. So being able to mix colors and have little swirls like that makes it just feel more real. I'm actually glad that Adobe came up with this because the Painter program has done this kind of stuff for a very long time. So seeing this happen in Photoshop is pretty wicked. All right, see you the next movie. Here's the landscape file from chapter 11, and obviously I've got it open already. And we're going to dig in and change color here. So I'm going to pick a color. And the book gives us some values here, so I'm going to change RGB. So R is 185, tab key, 204, tab key 228. So we're doing kind of a light blue, and we want to change our brush here, so F5. And we're going to go to the fan brush again. And let's see, changing any settings? Not here, so we'll turn that off. We'll go over here to, let's see, we want to do load on and clean off, I believe. Is that correct? Yep. And let's see. We want to set this to dry. Okay. Now I'm going to go a little bit bigger with a brush, like about 50, and just paint some items here across the sky. Now it doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to blend this stuff in later. And I'm trying not to click on the trees or anything like that. And if I put more pressure into it, obviously I get more with the density of the color. And I'm sure you guys are getting very sick of this clicking. Maybe we'll turn this off for now. There we go. And we're leaving a bit of blue sky at the edge if we're near the trees. Getting some more blend in there. We'll come on over here to this section. Oops, got a little on the trees. Back up a little bit, I just hit Command Z. Okay, pretty happy with that. Next step is we're going to change color. So we'll go back here to our color chip and change these values. So now we're going to go 103, tab 151, 212, and get a kind of a darker blue. And for this, we're going to work across the top of the sky. I'm going to work a little bit bigger with a bigger brush. Let me do that one again. I was going a little bit across the tree there. I didn't really want to do that. You may have heard the phone ring a couple of minutes ago, so now I'm going to finish up what I was doing. Okay, that looks pretty good. Maybe a little bit more up at the top. Kind of push that in. Oops, went across the trees again. Okay. Let's go through the next phase, and that is to choose a value and make it blend in a little better. In fact, we're going to go back and just choose the old blue we had, the light blue. So that one was 185, tab 185, 204, 228. And we're now going to change this brush to a very wet and heavy brush. So very wet and heavy. And now when we go over this same area, it does a pretty nice job of blending all that stuff in. And I'm not going to be worried about too much of the trees now. Notice that I pick up my brush every now and again. That actually helps to, in this case, reload the brush with some color. And all we're doing really here is doing a lot more blending. Gonna get close to the trees there. Come down here. Okay, looks pretty good. Okay, let's start playing with the grass now. For the grass, we're going to go to just kind of a medium green, which is actually going to... I'm giggling because I was almost pointing at the screen as if you can see me pointing. Okay. So we've got, this is going to be 92, 157, 13. And we're going to go back to a dry brush and mostly take care of this section here. I don't think I have to be particularly dainty about this. And while we're here, I mean, what we've already got the, and what I mean by here, I mean the light green. I'm going to make this brush a little bit smaller here. And go across some of the values here on the light areas of the trees back here, just to pick up some highlights. Maybe a little bit across here, a little bit across the top here. And I'm not even sure these things will show up ultimately, but they can make some nice changes here. Now this side is a lot brighter, so I'll grab some of that, maybe across some of the highlights there. It's definitely brighter on this edge. Across the top, a little bit over here. Got some highlights happening across up here. I feel like I'm Bob Ross. And a little bit here and there. Okay. Let's see, next we want to go through and do some deeper green. So let's go to color palette again. And we'll change these values. So red becomes 2.6, green becomes 7.9, and blue becomes 3.4. Yep, darker green. Okay, and we'll go back to kind of a bigger brush down here and take care of some of these things. That's pretty cool. Oh, and you know what? Actually, we want to take this and make this very wet. So that should also make this blend a lot nicer. Oh, yes. Cool. Now let's make this brush a little bit smaller. And oh, and you know what? We need to get most of this tree over here. And I'll go back over that section with the dark or the light brush in a minute. With this brush, we can actually get a lot of stuff here. So get some of these low lights and blend that in. Now this is also blending with the original picture too, so that's kind of nice. Now if it happens to blend a little bit with those other highlights I put in, that's even more of a bonus. I like what's happening there. Okay, do some of that business over here. lightly across this area here to blend these a little bit more. There we go. I'm going to go back and kind of take care of these lighter sections as well. They're a little too clean in terms of the brush marks that it left. So just kind of cleaning this up. Meaning, when I say cleaning this up, I mean basically blurring it. Okay, I like what's happening there. Okay. Let's see, next. There's the trees in the distance. These guys back over here. Oh, you know what? I said I was going to take care of this, so I'm going to get a small brush and create just a little bit of a highlight across there. Now, actually, I'm using kind of a wet brush here. But that looks nice. Okay, so we're going to get a different color again. And let's see, this one, red value is going to be 65, tab key 91, tab key 116. We get kind of a gray blue here. And for this, we're going to go back to a dry brush, just to take care of this stuff back over here. Now I know it seems odd to paint these trees blue because, hey, wait a minute, weren't those trees green just a second ago? Well, yeah. But one of the things you want to consider when you're painting is that when you look at things in the distance, they become more gray and a little bit blue. Okay, so we're going to start off there and then go through and with the heavy mix and blend this some more. And it should grab some of the trees back there as well. Maybe I've overpainted this section, maybe. Well, it's starting to pick up some of the green. But the idea here is that something in the distance is actually going to be quite foggy by comparison. So we're okay with that. I want to get across these. There we go. We'll go with that. Last is this section down over there with the tall grass. Let's just sample this stuff here. We'll just sample this stuff, and let's see, tall grass, very wet, heavy, awesome. So we'll just kind of do some very short strokes up and down between the grass and the trees. Give a nice blending so we don't leave any sharp little grass stains there. Okay. You know what, just for giggles, I'm going to pick up this tan area back here and do this as well. I'm liking it. And you know what, I'm going to sample just here, just for a second, and just kind of take out this stuff here. and get some more blurriness factor going on there. Ah, yes. Nice. Maybe even blend a little bit more. Yeah, it brings out the highlights there, doesn't it? And if you want to do the left side, we'll do that. But you know what? I'm pretty happy with that. That's the end of chapter 11.